Although we're some way off reviving the dead with electricity, and thankfully, as yet still unable to create monsters, we have come a long way since those early experiments with electricity as a brain stimulant, and we're still discovering new techniques and refining existing methods. For instance, deep brain stimulation, transcranial direct current stimulation, electroconvulsive therapy, or vagus nerve stimulation all build upon those early experiments by Scribonius Largus, Galvani, Aldini, and Wesley. The efficacy of electrotherapy in its various forms is well documented, and using electricity as a viable treatment option has become a mainstay of modern psychiatry. Another form of brain stimulation involves the use of magnetism. We'll discuss various methods of magnetic stimulation in this series, and look at the application and efficacy of transcranial magnetic stimulation to different brain disorders. We'll introduce some techniques, and we'll explain how TMS works, and what it does. And before we do that, we'll take a short look at the history of magnetism in general, and briefly visit some notable pioneers in the field. The ancients learned of magnetism from naturally magnetized pieces of iron, or called lodestones, and it was Pliny the Elder who was the first to write about magnetism in his Encyclopaedia Naturalis Historia. According to him, the word magnet derives from the name Magnus, who was a shepherd. Magnus discovered magnetism when, upon taking his herds to pasture, he found that the nails of his shoes, and the iron ferrule of his staff, adhered to the ground. Pliny describes 5 kinds of magnet, each from a different region, and mentions their healing effect on burns, and their usefulness as ingredients in ophthalmic preparations. According to him, magnetic stones were particularly good for arresting defluxions of the eyes. In the Middle Ages, magnets were attributed with great and bizarre medical powers, for example, as a cure for arthritis, draw poison from wounds, or able to reverse baldness. The medieval alchemist Paracelsus claimed that all persons possessed magnetic powers, an assumption that, centuries later, would lead Franz Anton Mesmer to believe that all living bodies contained magnetic fluid, generating tides, that, when disorganized, resulted in pathologies, like hysteria, delirium, and all kinds of aches or pains. Gifted individuals, like Mesmer, could restore the out-of-control magnetic tides back to normal by passing their hands over the patient's body. His theories were fashionable for a while, but ultimately, were just imagination. It must be said, unfortunately, that even in our modern age there are still some who irrationally believe in the healing power of magnets. It should be noted that the application of transcranial magnetic stimulation is based on physics and physiology, and not on the fantasies of some medieval alchemist.